Oh my God. Andy Hubes is a whore, as it turns out. Anyone that watches me, you probably have no clue what I'm talking about here, because you probably don't watch Huberman because you just watch me, and I'm a goofy dude. But Andy is, hold on, let's pull up Andrew's credentials here, okay? How serious can they be, compared to mine? About Andrew David Huberman is an American neuroscientist and podcaster. See, he's just a podcaster, dude. He is an associate professor of neurobiology and ophthalmology at Stanford University School of Medicine. Fields, neuroscience. Okay, gotcha. Thesis, neuroactivity and axon guidance, cue regulation. Oh, okay. We're probably similar levels of intelligence. The point that I'm trying to get to here is I've listened to a handful of Huberman podcasts in the past. I'm not like an avid follower of him. And since then I've looked up and I found out that he does have some like, some episodes about relationships that I almost kind of want to go back and listen to. But for the most part, a video would pop up about Huberman, and it would be a topic that I'd be interested in, and I would genuinely learn from those videos. And the reason for that is because he is an American neuroscientist who is also an associate professor of neurobiology and, get this, ophthalmology at, get this, Stanford University School of Medicine. As it turns out, he's probably a relatively smart dude. Now, academics, these scholars, are they right all the time? No. Anyone that follows like any type of science of any sort, it's a very cool thing sometimes, because you'll read something that's like, oh yeah, this thing, it's pretty sweet. And then 5 years it'll be like, actually, this thing can kill you, or vice versa. For me, it was like egg yolks. I remember when it was like, my grandpa used to always tell me like, you can only have like 2 eggs a week with the yolks. You can have egg whites all week, but you can only have 2 yolks a week or your heart's going to explode. You're going to die from death, from heart explosion. Turns out, that's what they were telling him when he was a kid, but nowadays it's like, actually, it's the good cholesterol that's in that yolk. Whoopsie daisy, have fun. Drink your water, but not too much or you'll die, but not too little. You'll also die. Science is cool. Ignorance really, truly is bliss sometimes. I would recommend, if you're just a regular everyday person, to never read the science of anything. The point is, we have stressed that I'm just a YouTuber, right? There's no need to take everything I say. I'm not a neuroscientist here. But here's the thing, right? I'm getting to the point. Andy has recently gotten into some controversy because he's a whore. He's a dirty whore, quite frankly. He let on 6 different women. They all thought that they were exclusive to him. And it's rough, man. It really is rough. I will say that part of it, I'm not too bothered by, because I feel like I hear about this every day. You hop on Twitter, you can find somebody that's cheating and bragging about it, like every single day. They don't care. You'll also see like weird lies. I call it cuck posting, very strange behavior where people will be like, she's cheating on you right now. This is what she does when she looks at him and says, put it back in. And it's like, it's the weirdest behavior, dude. I don't understand the mentality there, but I'm completely going off track here. There's a lot of like online scientists, and a lot of online cheaters. So I'm not shocked by that. I'm more shocked by the giving someone an STD thing. That's a pretty messed up. I think that's the part that more people should be bothered by. I see a lot of people that seem to be bothered at him being a little bit of a slut, which is, he is 48 years old. You're a little too old to be being a slut. That's something you do 30 years ago. But, you get the idea. You know what I'm saying? 30 years ago? No, I'm right. For some reason, I thought saying 30 years ago would mean he was 8 years old. 18. That's what you do when you're 18 and 19. When you're an 18, 19-year-old man, you're a little slut. What are we talking about? We're talking about the STD, okay? The STD is messed up. But anyways, there's obviously this controversy. And, things are coming out. People are saying things are lies. People are saying it's not true. It's the same as any controversy that comes out where it's like, great, I really look forward to reading all these different articles and people saying, but is this true? But is this true? But is that true? No, this isn't true. But this was made up a little bit. But this was hyperbole. And then I never get to know really anything, because modern media, in the way we talk about scandals, is trash. But what I want to get to is the fact that people are saying that he is basically Andrew Tate, which bothers me. It bothers me a bit because I'm not an avid fan. Like I said, I wasn't listening to every single one of his podcasts, but I was listening to, good ones that I felt, I wanted to know about this. And the best way I can explain it, right, is push-ups, right? If I tell you, hey man, push-ups are cool, you should do them. You're probably like, you're right, I probably should do some push-ups. That's the thing about men, that's what worked with Tate. Tate would come along and he would just be like, man, we should be working out and we shouldn't be babies. And it's like, oh yeah, true. As a man, I agree, man. It's that basic shit. It's like a basic core belief that men can get behind. But yeah, I should lift heavy things up and put them down. I feel good when I do that. But then, like, say you have that guy who's just a regular guy who's like, you should do push-ups. But then you have a professional trainer, right? A professional trainer is going to have you on the ground doing 10 like hyper-focused push-ups that are going to, like, he's going to get the most out of those push-ups. You're going to go super deep. You're going to hold it. You're going to get maximum range of motion. And then after that, he's going to be like, what about your legs? What about your core? What about your back? Also, what about your diet? That's the difference between some guy. Like, some guy can be like, you should work out. True, you should work out. The professional is going to be like, you should be working out. I'm going to teach you potentially how to do it in the most efficient way possible. That is the appeal of somebody like old Andy Huberman. You know what I mean? Andy Hubes. That is the appeal, because everyone knows, like, oh, touching grass, that's cool. Working out, that's cool. But we have somebody here who's a neuroscientist that knows exactly why that's cool. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like no matter how good you are at something, there's always something to learn. I've been playing drums since I was 8 years old, self-taught. I still consistently see like drumming influencers doing really cool things. I'm like, oh man, I never thought of that. And I try it and I learn new things. There's never going to be a period where you know absolutely everything. It's just not going to happen. But also, you wouldn't expect me, like, I tell you, I haven't played drums since I was 8. You're not going to ask me to do your taxes, okay? And that's just usually the mentality that I have with old Andy here, because, it's like, I'm not going to him for relationship advice. You know what I mean? He's got his own problems, as it turns out. And by the way, I don't think that somebody extremely smart making mistakes means that they're actually stupid. I think it means that they've made mistakes. I've said this many times in my field. I know people that are professional, like architects, nutritionists. These are professional consultants in their field with years and years, decades of experience, tons and tons of years of schooling and stuff like that. And if I asked them to plug in a PS5, they would have no clue what to do. They wouldn't know how to plug a PS5 into. Hey, can you send a text message to this number? Huh? What? I'm 40. I'm 50. I don't. What? They don't bother with these things. They're not a podcaster like old Andy Huberman here, so they can't do it. They have that selective education. I've met a lot of like scholars and academics who aren't, across the board super smart, but they're really smart at their specific thing. And that's the thing that I really want to stress here. Just because a Redditor or a Twitter user, or I don't know if anyone's talking about this on Facebook because nobody uses Facebook. Just, you being like, oh, I found that this study, it counteracts what he said. Congratulations, man. It happens pretty much consistently all the time in anything. It happened with that the pandemic and that disease that went around that I'm afraid to mention because it turns into a cesspool whenever you do it. And there's all kinds of misinformation, things that were flipped. It's back to the whole egg yolk thing where it's like my grandpa was under the impression that eating 2 egg yolks or eating 3 egg yolks would make your heart explode. Meanwhile, later on, we're like, oh yeah, no. Turns out we were wrong about that. But that's the thing. What annoys me is the idea that the vast majority of people most likely listen to this guy's podcast, and we're just like, oh, cool, there's things to learn. I'm not going to take everything to heart. I'm not going to get relationship advice from this guy. I'm not going to, go like any supplement he recommends, I'm going to go for. And actually, I've never bought any of the supplements that Andy has ever brought up. But it's way different. It's not like Joe. They compare him to Joe Rogan a lot, and hearing Andy Huberman talk about his sources, citations, and studies. And don't get me wrong, there's studies that kind of confirm his bias and stuff like that. But hearing him discuss these things on like a very deep and I don't want to say intellectual level, but he clearly knows these things because he can explain them in a level that, there's this belief that if you can explain it to the layman, then you truly understand it. And I feel like he is good at that. He's good at explaining it to idiots like me or idiots like Joe Rogan. But hearing him explain the benefits of a supplement, the side effects and stuff like this, it's completely different than Joe Rogan being like, oh yeah, I tried that stuff and maybe I was real strong that day, but I had the shits. It's like, it's the fact that people, I know that, around 2020, we all decided that anyone online that reads articles is kind of in the same realm. Like, oh, I've read a bunch of articles about neuroscience. I am the same as this genuine, this actual scientist. And nowadays it's like it's flipped, because nowadays I see like academics and scholars who are first off having like 6 wives or 6 girlfriends and giving people STDs, but also I'm seeing like scholars who are basically just taking the mentality of like, I know more than you do, so I don't have to explain anything, which completely goes against being a scholar in my opinion, but it is what it is. Clown world, I guess, is what I'm trying to get to. The point is, I would definitely not go to Andy for relationship advice now. I was never going to him for relationship advice before, but now it kind of solidifies it. I never really felt like I needed any. But that being said, right, there's still things to learn, and kind of categorizing him as just another Tate is annoying to me. And it's almost like something that Tate fans, oh man, I feel like that kind of mentality is exactly why I have to hear Tate followers act like he is preaching the gospel when he's just saying the most basic shit on the planet, because you will categorize him in the same group as a actual neuroscientist. You know what I'm saying? It's just wild to me. And the thing is, right, I kind of knew that how he interacts with women would be weird, because I did see the clip a while ago of him talking with Jocko Willink, where he basically had, I don't know if you know about the greatest gamer to ever live, Tyler Ninja Blevins, but he basically had this, a similar take. Ninja, his whole take was, I don't want to stream with women gamers out of respect for my wife, which I feel like gaming with women gamers is not really disrespectful to your wife. I feel like sleeping with them, these other women gamers that's probably more disrespectful, but what do I know? I'm not a professional gamer like Ninja. I don't know the rules. Huberman, he kind of has similar outlooks on like being friends with women, where it's like, it's not a possibility for them. And it's not just like I just don't really make friends with a lot of women. It's like I actively try to avoid it thing. Very strange. I don't think Ninja was exactly the same. Is Ninja allowed to have women friends? I don't know. If he can't play games with them, I can't imagine that his wife is cool with him, like, being friends with them. Because streaming, and if you're streaming a game with them, I mean, hanging out with them is way worse, because you get to see them in person. God forbid. What if she just I'd imagine, it's real rough out there for Ninja's wife, because anytime Ninja's in public, women just throw themselves at him. I have the same problem, with, my girlfriend, my significant other, she's consistently having to pull people off of me. And that's why I have to make the rule, no female commenters down below. I mean, I'm joking, obviously, but it's crazy that I have to know what he's up to in his personal life. And do I think that this negates any of his expertise in like neuroscience and ophthalmology? No. Do I believe that he can be wrong about certain things? I mean, yeah, it happens all the time. If professionals were never wrong, then surgery would just be 100% great all the time. You know what I mean? That's not really a right or wrong thing. That's a skill thing. But sometimes you don't get it right. But this this modern, and the thing is, right, I watched a Todd Grande video about this, and when I realized like the type of person that's real caught up in this was in that video, because in the video, Todd Grande, he's basically like, there's a period where he says, it's obvious that he's an intelligent man, Andrew Huberman, but then he goes off about how this doesn't make the things he does okay, and this is narcissistic behavior, this is sociopathic. But then you see comments where it's like, I wouldn't even say that he's very smart. Would you really say that he's very smart for leading on 6? And it's like, yes, Yeah, I do think that smart people can do terrible things. And I would even go so far as to say that if you're smarter, it's easier for you to do these bad things because it's easier for you to manipulate people because you are smart. But I don't think that negates his genuine knowledge about any of these topics. He's a professional. But it is what it is. And he's not like, he's not like a Jordan Peterson where he's kind of going off the deep end talking about these social issues and cancel culture. Right now, he's pretty much just ignoring cancel culture. I'm glad he's not going down that realm where he's like, the Matrix is trying to take me down. He's pretty much just ignoring it and going back to doing what he does. And I think that's the smart thing to do because you're a professor and that's what I expect you to do. You made a mistake. You made multiple mistakes, 6 women and, the whole STD thing. But as far as like his professional advice and the things that I learned in the podcast that I watched from him, it's kind of like, and it's funny because it recommends David Goggins. People also search for David Goggins. He's another good example of like, hey man, there's life advice you can learn without following everything he does. If most people tried to follow and do what David Goggins did, they would just die. But there's something to learn from like his journey and the effort that he put in and like, the way he looks at like getting better without being like, oh, I have to completely copy him and die. You guys probably don't care, right? This is going to be a video that's it could potentially randomly appeal to people that care about the drama, and I'm going to get yelled at by random commenters on YouTube because you don't understand. He's actually not that smart. Just go outside and get some sun, bro. Trust me, if there's anybody that understands the importance of just touch grass, it's me. It's like my go-to insult for anybody whenever they're randomly upset about something minor. You need to touch grass. Grass needs to be touched. But yeah, man, it's just it's annoying for him to be categorized in this way. You know what I mean? Like we don't need to be this. Like not anyone that messes up. That's in the wellness field needs to be considered a Tate. He doesn't have a Romanian OnlyFans pimp ring. You know what I mean? He doesn't have a harem. He's just a whore.